Now, with children's mental health reported to be in decline since the pandemic and school attendance down 20% on Fridays, should school kids be allowed a weekly work-from-home day? Frankie, what do you think?
I don't think they should have one weekly. I think if a kid's going through a really hard time, maybe. But I think, for me, I'm currently going through it a bit with my youngest. He's changed schools and he's really struggling. He's finding it hard to fit in. He doesn't want to go in. You know, he's the new boy. He's not very good with change. And he's, like, getting physical anxiety from it. So, like, as a parent, it's really hard to stand by and watch that, obviously, at such a young age, then begging you not to go in. And he keeps saying to me, oh, can you just homeschool me? Can't you homeschool me? So we had one day where the teacher sent him home halfway through the day because he's very good at, like, putting a brave face on and holding himself together. But she said, like, after 2 weeks of it, she was like, I can just see he's just about to crack. So he came home, luckily I was around. So I said, right, the next day, I felt like he deserved just a day to relax, you know, he'd been really holding it together. Like I said to him, you have this day off and this is not a regular thing. I know, and I always say, I'm like, you have to go to school because it's against the law, and if you don't go to school, I'll go to jail. And I'm like, you know, and you should go to school. So I've been very strict to, even though it's hard for all of us, he has to go in. I think they need that routine. He needs to make friends. He needs to get used to that sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do. Not everything's fun every day. But equally, I understand that for some people, a break one day, one extra day is needed. But to make it extra every week, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the kind of situation you're describing is different from what we're talking about here. And I mean, obviously, you know, you're getting into the why he feels like that. And this is something that is obviously a big issue within the family. Whereas if you look at this as a Friday, you know, 20% decrease in attendance on a Friday. So you have to maybe ask, well, who is this for? I mean, you're doing everything you can for your son's benefit, but if it's always happening on a Friday, one suggests that it's maybe not about the kid, it's maybe about, it's just easier to have the kid off on a Friday.
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Yeah, in my case, it would be.
Yeah?
I hated school. I hated schools. I used to say to my mum, please let me have a day off. She'd say no. So I'd get a hot water bottle, put it on my head and go, look, I've got a temperature. I can't go in today. But my son didn't like school either, and I used to let him have... I'd say, I'll take you in school later today. We'll go and have breakfast together. But remember, during COVID, we had to homeschool the kids as well. So Lauren was working still because she looks after babies, and so I had to homeschool them. Can you imagine me trying to homeschool on a computer? It was rubbish. And if I was working from home, I wouldn't be doing any work. I'd be watching Netflix.
But the thing is, did you know... Why didn't you like school? Why didn't you like school? Why didn't Louis like school?
I think a lot of it because I was on telly from when I was about 10 years old. So when I got to secondary school, any time I did anything wrong, they'd say, just because you're on the telly don't mean you can do this. Just because you're on the telly don't mean you can come into school whenever you want. I said, I used to come in whenever I want anyway. So...
Yeah. I think it's getting to the why, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think definitely agree with what you're saying. I think, let's be real, if this is saying 20% on a Friday, it's probably that weekend, long weekend, parents don't want their, you know, they don't want to... It's easier for them to have the kids home and so on. And I think it's whether it's about the child or the parent. And, you know, I think sometimes I look at kids and their parents put so much pressure on them. They're doing the school, they're doing every day after school club, they're doing something on the Saturday and the Sunday, and you can see that this child is just physically and mentally exhausted from being this high achiever because the parent like to be like, oh, he's doing this and she's doing that and they're doing this. And I think the poor child needs a break. And I think there will be times in education or just in life that a child will just need that moment to be still, to really understand what they're feeling and what they're going through. I had a friend who had their daughter, who was like 16 at the time, in sixth form, and she had a really difficult last year. And those last 2 weeks, she was like, I can't do it, I can't do it. Actually, it was about a month or so. And her mum made the choice to contact the sixth form and arrange for her to do her assessments at home. And at first, they put up a fight and said no. And when she researched, said, listen, my child has a diagnosis and this is in the safety of my child and to protect my child's mental health. They agreed it, and she did the assessments at home and was able to leave with a certificate. Now, this is where we're talking about parents working alongside their children, because if that didn't happen, she wouldn't have left with any certificate. So I think it's really about assessing the situation and making sure that this choice is best for the child, but working with the school. If the school don't help you, then find another school or find a support network outside. But ultimately, once a week is not going to work, especially in my house.
No.